Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and we are at the final video in the Christmas in July series, so I thought we would go out with a bang and do some really fun and whimsical cards. So we are going to make a set of cards. I'm going to make 5 cards altogether, and I'm going to cut down my cardstock as usual. I like to work with an A2 base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I've cut the black mat to be about a 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. And then the watercolor cardstock I'm going to bring in, it is a cold press watercolor cardstock. It's going to be about about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the A2 base, giving me kind of a nice border around my panels, just because that's kind of how I like it. I love that layered look, and because I didn't do it in the last video, I absolutely had to do it in this one. But these cards are a lot of fun, very whimsical, and I think they'd be pretty easy to reproduce if you needed a lot of Christmas cards, depending on what kind of Christmas cards you like to do. These are not a traditional color palette, but you could absolutely make them one if you wanted to. I opted for them to be a more, vibrant, whimsical color palette, but you could absolutely tone that down and do reds and greens or blues or purples, that kind of thing, and not bring in, the pinks and the whatnots. But up to you completely as to what color palette you want to go with. That's just kind of what I was thinking. And after we've, done a month long of these cards, it's kind of fun to finish off with a set and to do something that's very whimsical and fun. So it's kind of what I was thinking. So here you can see I'm almost done cutting down all of our cardstock, and then we will jump into using a whole bunch of sprays. I have a lot of sprays. I don't own them all, but I do have quite a few. So I'll walk you through all of my color palettes that I kind of worked with. So this first one, I went in with, I'm pretty sure that's Spun Sugar. So it was Spun Sugar Distress Oxide, Wonderland Mica Spray, and Speckled Egg Spray Stain. That's what I used here. And I did start out with a little bit of water, and you can kind of see that there's just a little pool there. So I'm going to sit it aside. And I decided to bring in my splat box because I thought that would be a better idea for how this was going to go. So for this next one, I used Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide, Wilted Violet Spray Stain, and Snow Flurries Mica Spray. And I think this one ends up being my favorite, but we'll go through them and you'll see. And then for the next colors, I have to read my list here to make sure I get them correct. I'm pretty sure this one is Milled Lavender Distress Oxide, Winterfrost Mica, and Tumbled Glass Spray Stain. So you can see that I'm using 3 different types of products because they layer on top of each other differently. So the mica will add some glitter, the oxide adds that little bit of oxidized look, and then the stain is just dye, so the color is more vibrant. And then for my next one, I believe this one should be Salvaged Patina Oxide, Frosty Mint Mica, and Salty Ocean Spray Stain. And so I like to start with the oxide on the base, then I go in with the stain, and then I add the mica on top. And then this one is very pink. This one is Seedless Preserves Distress Oxide, WinterBerry Mica, and then Picked Raspberry Stain. I do actually go in and add a little bit of Spun Sugar on top just to tone it back a little bit. I don't show you that, but you will see the color will be just a little bit different down the road. And then if there's any color kind of pooling funny like there was there, I did go in and just kind of blot it off a little bit. So that pink one is super vibrant. So if pink's not your thing, you could absolutely change that up and do a different color palette. But I just chose colors I thought would be fun together. So there's no, right or wrong. Just pick colors that you really enjoy. This would work easily for birthday cards too. I mean, change up, the color palette or the snowflake or whatever you want to do. I hope that my ideas are always a little bit versatile so you can kind of, change up what you want the end result to be. But I had a lot of fun with these cards. So it was kind of fun to finish off the series with something really whimsical, super vibrant, and a lot of fun. So it's kind of what I was thinking. And of course, everything I use is always linked and listed down below, unless it's not something you can get anymore. Then I try to find an alternative if it's possible. But I'm pretty sure all the sprays are available, so it shouldn't be too hard. You'll just have to go through the links down below. And then for my sentiment, I did bring in the Simon Says Stamp Christmas Blessings stamp set. It was still on my desk from the last 2 times I'd used it, so I thought it would be really fun and easy to just put it in my MISTI, stamp it out, and then we're going to silver emboss these because I'm going to use the holographic cardstock for the snowflakes, and I loved how they looked. Now I did leave these panels overnight to dry. You don't have to leave them that long. But I did. I got distracted and wandered off and did something else. So then I came back to them the next day and kind of finished them up. So, my panels are quite dry at this point. So just be aware of that when you're working with sprays and embossing powder. I let them dry quite a while. You don't have to, but just be aware so that you're not, try to put embossing powder over top of wet liquid, because it will, of course, stick to that as well, and it will not want to come off. You can kind of clean it up with a paintbrush, which is what I do when I need to, but I love how these cards turned out. I hope you guys enjoy them. I know they're a bit out there for Christmas cards, but I tend to be a little out there with my Christmas cards because I love the vibrancy. So nothing wrong with that. They're just a very different look. So yeah, I hope you guys appreciate how these all come together. So I am silver embossing them, as I said. This is sterling embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. It's an ultra fine embossing powder, which is kind of what I prefer for my sentiments. So I have their white embossing powder, their gilded, which is their gold embossing powder, and their silver embossing powder. And I'm a pretty big fan of them. I really enjoy working with their embossing powders, so I might have to go and see if there's any other colors just for fun, so I can see what else is the option out there. And of course, if you wanted to, you could have embossed this on a second piece of cardstock, like the black cardstock we're going to use for the base, and then have them sit on top, which would make the sentiment stick out more. But I didn't want the sentiment to be the thing you noticed first. I wanted it to be the snowflake, which we're going to jump into building here in a moment. So that's kind of why I didn't do that. But if you wanted the sentiment to stand out more than what it is on my cards, you could easily emboss them on, like I said, even white cardstock or black cardstock, and that would give them kind of a look that was working a lot easier for that. And then as I said, I'm going to pick 3 snowflakes from the Paper Cut Snowflake Minis dies. This is a Tim Holtz die set. It has these great snowflakes in it. And I wanted to layer them up. So I am going to cut them out 3 times. So there's one for each card, I'm going to cut them out 5 times, but 3 dies, because I want to layer them on top of each other and kind of create this more fluffy snowflake. And I did have a little bit of a struggle with the dies and my magic mat, but I didn't want to use my chrome base plate just because it warps my plastic plates. And this plastic plate's brand new and I don't want to warp it. So I'm kind of struggling through just using my magic mat. It works for the most part with no issues. It's just once in a while, I one little piece of the snowflake gets stuck. So, you could of course run it through more than once, and that would probably help, or use the chrome base plate and that would help. I opted to just run it through more than once, which is what I'm going to do here with the larger snowflake. It really only seemed to struggle with the larger snowflake and not the 2 little ones for some reason. But again, I just, die cut it twice, or, I'm going to cut that one piece that got stuck, which I have no problem with that. But here you see it came out no problem there. So it just needed to be run through twice, or alternatively, I'll just use my scissors and kind of trim up any areas that I'm struggling with for that. But yeah, so ultimately not a big deal, but some of them I did cut twice just to make sure they cut all the way through. So yeah, something to consider. And then we're going to start kind of layering up the snowflakes. I did choose to cut the 3, as I said. So I have kind of a large one, a medium-ish one, and then a smaller one. And I'm just going to adhere them just in the center of each snowflake so that they kind of get to sit, and then I'll lift up the little snowflake branches, petals, I don't know what you'd call them, arms, the pieces of the snowflake, so that they look even fuller once we adhere them down to the card base. But yeah, I love these cards. I hope you guys love them too. I hope you'll let me know. I hope you leave me a comment and tell me what you think of these card designs. Did you have a favorite out of this series? Because of course this is the last one of this series. We're going to go into just our regular content from here on out. So it'll be whatever the heck I decide to make until we hit, Christmas, the 12 weeks of Christmas series. And I would like to do something Halloween-y as well, but we're kind of going back to our regular stuff. So it's just, all sorts of different things. But yeah, so did you have a favorite of the series? If you did, please let me know. I would love to know. And why is it your favorite, if you have a reason? Just because it's always really interesting when I hear you guys' feedback for the next series, because we'll do it again next year. And it's a lot of fun to hear, what you guys thought, or why it was your favorite, or what you enjoyed about it. Or if you didn't like one of the cards, let me know why. Because it's always super interesting to me to, hear why you didn't enjoy something for some reason. Didn't like the color palette, or I mean, ideally you don't think it was ugly. I hope you guys don't dislike my card designs, but maybe it wasn't your style, or it wasn't your color palette, or you just didn't enjoy how it came together. Let me know, because it's always interesting to hear that too. Don't be rude about it, of course. You know, we're all humans, but yeah, if you have any thoughts, I'm always happy to hear them. So as I said, I'm going to just layer them down, and you can see that I'm only adding adhesive in the center, and then I do kind of push it down with my finger, which does help fluff up the extra pieces of the snowflake anyways, but it's kind of just a fun way to add loads of dimension to such a flat, kind of subtle, well, it's not subtle with the holographic, but it's kind of fun to add more layers to the snowflakes just to make them more detailed and a lot of fun to look at. Because when you get this card, like these videos do not do this card justice whatsoever. It is stunning in person, all of the cards, because you get the subtle mica in the background, and you get the color variations, and you get, you know, the subtle glitter of the sentiment, and you get this like bold, vibrant holographic. Like, it's just, these cards are not there. The video and the pictures do not do these cards justice. They are stunning in person, and I love how these came together. I think that they were just a really fun way to end off the series, and, you know, make something that's different. And use my sprays. I haven't used my sprays recently, which is kind of sad, because they're a lot of fun to work with. I do suggest having some kind of box you spray in. Like, I have my splat box, but whatever. I mean, you can just have a cardboard box that you spray in. It doesn't really matter what kind of box. But just because they do like to be a bit aggressive and spray everywhere, so keep that in mind if you want to work with sprays. But they are so much fun to work with. And then, of course, because it is a Christmas card and I did make it, I do have to add just one beautiful gem in the center of the snowflakes, because why not? It kind of helps reflect that holographic coloring, so it's really pretty. Like I said, you guys, the pictures in the video just do not do these cards justice. They are so stunning in person. But yeah. So that is the end of this series. Like we still have to build the cards, so we will do all the layers and whatnot, but that's the end of the series. Would you want to see a Halloween card series? Let me know what you think. I generally make a couple of Halloween cards, not a lot of them, but a couple of them. But do you think that'd be something you'd be interested in seeing? I mean, I do Christmas, because Christmas is, you know, a pretty big time when people send cards, and I have a lot of fun with it. I know Halloween cards aren't sent as much, but do you think that would be something you might be interested in seeing? And yes, I finally got a new bottle of Nuvo Deluxe glue. You can see it there. I'm in love. It's twice as big as my usual bottle, because I couldn't get my Nuvo Deluxe glue. I've been complaining about that for a little while now, so I'm pretty excited to have my big bottle of glue back. But yeah, so let me know your thoughts on a Halloween series or any other series. Do you think that anything else would be fun? I have considered doing like a beginner series where we kind of break down like the very beginner things, like card bases, how to cut them, what sizes there are, you know, glues, scissors, you know, that kind of stuff, breaking it down in a very, you know, beginner style way. I mean, I know you guys, most of you probably aren't beginners and haven't been for a while. I mean, I know a lot of people who follow my channel who've been making cards for a long time, so that may not really appeal to you. But let me know your thoughts. Is there a series you'd like to see on the channel that we aren't doing now? I have considered doing like an art journaling style series. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm a little intimidated by it because I don't do a lot of art journaling, but it could be really fun to do a series like that. So that's always one that's kind of on my mind, you know, and maybe we do like art journaling day or something. I don't know how we would do it, but I don't know. I'd have to sit down and figure out how to do it. But if you have any ideas or something you'd love to see on the channel, please let me know. I would love to hear it. I'm always open to new ideas because I do enjoy trying stuff on the channel. I've been painting more. Would you guys be interested in seeing like a video of a painting I've done? Like anything like that? Like, you tell me what you think you'd like to see, because I would love to know. And then here I'm just kind of fluffing up the stems, legs, whatever you want to call them, of the snowflakes to make them look even a little bit more full around that gem, because now they're kind of all together and ready to go. And I'm going to hold them up, but honestly, this doesn't do them justice because the camera and the lights kind of pick up the holographic more than the subtlety of the mica in the background and whatnot. But I love these. Do you have a favorite one of these? Is there a color palette you liked the most? I honestly think that purple one I held up in the beginning is probably my favorite, but they're all really pretty in their own way. I had a lot of fun with these, so hopefully you guys enjoyed them and they're something you might bring into your cards this season. Like I said, though, you could easily turn this into a birthday card. Do like a bunch of presents on top of the sentiment and have a happy birthday, or some balloons, or like you could easily change this and not have a snowflake if that's not kind of what you were going for. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.